Good morning to each and everyone, and welcome to my video presentation. I am your presenter, Namra Jumaira Ibrahim. Now let's talk about the World Bank. Officially, it is called the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development, or IBRD. It was established in 1944 at a conference in Bretton Woods, and it started operating in 1946. It is open to any country that's a member of the IMF, and right now, there are 148 member countries, so basically almost every country is involved, right? So ang main role ng World Bank is to help countries, especially yung mga developing nations with financial and development support. Now, ano nga ba ang ginagawa ng World Bank? First, they encourage the development of poorer countries, like helping them build schools, hospitals, or businesses. Second, they provide funding kapag walang private investors na willing tumulong. Third, they promote international trade and economic growth. And lastly, they help improve the quality of life sa member na countries, like better jobs, higher wages, and improved living standards. Parang ang goal nila talaga is to make the world a better place in fairness. Well, dati ang focus ng World Bank ay on big projects lang, like roads, bridges, and water systems. Pero now, mas broad na yung sakop nila. They're also helping with population issues, education, health programs, environment, and even poverty reduction. They also focus on government reforms like fighting corruption and improving public services. Plus, they support gender equality and human rights. In short, mas inclusive na sila ngayon when it comes to helping. But, syempre, hindi perfect ang World Bank. There will also be challenges and mistakes. May mga challenges, for example, in Africa, they neglected agriculture for 2 decades kasi walang credit available for farmers. Nahirapan sila to grow crops and feed their families. So, in 2007, the World Bank decided to focus again on agriculture, especially in African countries. Medyo late na nga sila dito kasi nauna na yung Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation sa area na ito. Even with these issues, the World Bank remains super important. It's a forum where countries discuss development problems and solutions. It is also a major source of funding for developing countries, and aside from money, they provide valuable advice and information to help member countries improve their economies and social conditions. So, kahit may flaws, ang laki pa rin ng impact ng World Bank globally. Finally, now ang recent focus ng global is including returning to agriculture in Africa, dealing with economic problems caused by the Great Recession, and monitoring debt levels of developing countries. So, they're really adapting to the times para relevant pa rin ang kanilang mission. And that's it for the World Bank. I guess let us now move on into our next discussion, another important economic organization. Let's start with the OECD, or the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. This is like a club for the world's richest and most developed countries. 30 members ang kasama dito. They don't have formal power, meaning wala silang specific authority over other nations. Pero super influential sila sa mga global economy. So, Parang sila yung elite group na nagsiset ng trends for economic policies. Next, we have the European Union or AU. It started after World War II to help Europe recover and strengthen their economies. Today, it has 27 countries. Imagine, over 500 million people are part of this big market. Yung AU nations na gumagamit ng euro as their currency, we call it the Eurozone. Pero not all AU members use the euro. For example na lang ang Great Britain, Sweden, and Denmark. They stick to their own currency. So, may criticisms din sa euro kasi sabi nila it caused higher prices and slower economic growth and economic problems in countries like Greece, Portugal, and Spain are putting the euro at risk. So, parang malaking group sila pero may mga issues rin na lumalabas. Next is the NAFTA or the North American Free Trade Agreement is a trade between the US, Canada, and Mexico. It started in 1994 to remove barriers to trade and investment between these three countries. So parang naging one big market sila. Later, the US tried to expand this idea to include all countries in the Western Hemisphere, except Cuba, through the Free Trade Area of the Americas (FTAA), but not everyone liked the idea. Some Latin American leaders, like Hugo Chavez from Venezuela, opposed it. Mercosur, or the Southern Common Market, was created in 1991. Ang goal nila is to have a common market in South America by 1995. So parang ASEAN or the ASEAN and they in our Asia. So they aim to make trade easier among South American countries. It's another example of countries coming together for economic growth. Finally, we have the OPEC, the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. It was formed in 1960 by countries like Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, and Venezuela. Ngayon, there are 11 members including Indonesia, Algeria, and Nigeria. OPEC was created kasi back then all oil prices were super low and inflation was a big issue. So ang ginawa nila, they worked together to increase oil prices and because of that, member countries become super rich like Saudi Arabia. So basically, OPEC controls a big chunk of the world's oil market. So that's it. For this economic organization show us how countries work together or sometimes how they clash to improve their economies. So kahit iba-iba sila ng focus, all of them are important in shaping the global economy. If you have any questions, you can write your questions in the comment section. Thank you so much everyone.